I am on a mission today, a mission to make power easier. And this is going to require the sort of a production of more power, but also the transmission of power. And we should be able to handle this quite easily today with the help of one of my favorite mods. It's definitely become one of that, and that is the Powah mod. Now, we're not going to be using Powah to generate power, which is typically a great way to do such a thing. But today we're essentially going to be using the Powah mod to just allow us to move power easier. And it's really, really nice. Now, up to this point, we have been using dimensional cells, and this has been great. But this does require me to essentially stop and kind of grab stuff out of the dimensional cell. I have to like link it, and then I have to unlink, so on and so forth. It's been great for an early solution. But today, we are going to make this significantly easier to do. All we're going to need is to be able to make these ender cells. Now, this in itself is going to cost quite a bit of power, so this might take a little bit of time, but it is going to be so worth it to do this. And we're going to have to get started by getting ourselves up some of the energizing orbs here. So energizing orbs going to be the big part, or just one energizing orb technically. We just need an energizing orb, and we need to automate this energizing orb with something. There's a lot of different ways that we can do this. We could even use applied energistics technically to automate it. But I'm thinking we go super simple this time. We can either use modular routers, which I've played with the last couple episodes. We can go back to using laser IO, which is a really, really easy way to automate this thing. Or like I said, we could try and use apply to do it. I mean, or shoot, let's just automate it with vanilla redstone. I mean, I just want to show how easy it is to actually automate the energizing orb, even if it's kind of like the simplest of automations. Now, we are going to need energizing rods. This is going to require a lot of manual crafting. And so usually I like to wait till I have like some auto crafting infrastructure up. But you know what? This go around, I haven't really felt the need to set up large scale auto crafting. It's actually been kind of refreshing, not like rushing towards that, because that leads me into a progression that is just me auto crafting everything. So it's actually been kind of nice and chill, just taking a step back and just kind of enjoying like handcrafting things. It's been pretty nice. Now, something I did want to mention, because I did end up changing my setup over here a few episodes ago, I did realize that we were actually losing out on a couple of things by not having something running. And that is actually having a regular diamond sleuth up and running that has a diamond mesh. I guess we could probably use the netherite sleuth, but putting these blaze meshes actually does not, from what I see, it does not generate coal. So in any form. So unfortunately, we are losing out on coal and also essence. So I've gone ahead and I reset back up the diamond one. And I also have my gravel going in here on the diamond one. And I just used a storage controller and I put some void upgrades to void off all of this nonsense. See, I don't want this, and I don't have to have a secondary process for it, but these are just constantly being produced. So I was like, you know what? Might as well get that up and running. And this barrel with just one diamond upgrade, each of these slots can hold 24,000 items. So I don't think I'll have to check on that for a while. But I wanted to show that because coal is very important, especially for making, for example, this dielectric paste, which we are going to need for a lot of these things. Very, very important. Most of the stuff, though, with as many resources as we have right now, can just simply be batch crafted, like just in large quantities. Now, getting started, I like to get these all set up until we have at least basic energizing rods. So going from our starter to the basic. And now that we have this, and we also have the energizing orb, we are pretty much ready to go and are able to start making the energized steel. Now, I think over here is going to be just fine here in this hallway setting this up. I just want to show how straightforward this is actually going to be. So let's set this, the dimensional cell to output to all sides. And then I will set up a cable here. And then on this cable, I'm just going to place on the sides my energized rods. These are what's going to receive the power, and it's what is going to send the stuff into the energizing orb. Now on the top here, I'm going to go ahead and just place this right here. By the way, this can be a few blocks away, up to 4. So we can place our energizing rod about 4 blocks away from our rods and it'll still work. Basically think of this as the center point of a crop, and within the watered area is where you can actually place these rods. So up to 4 blocks away. Now inside of this, let's go ahead and see. This is 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, I think 1, 2, 3, 4. We can have the energizing right here in the center. Might as well. Now on the bottom of it, I like to place a hopper. And thankfully it will only pull out the finished crafted results. But on the sides, we're going to need to have a place to send items. Now, unfortunately, this does it does have a problem here. So iron, for example, we're going to be iron and gold. This is how we're going to make the material. If I was to, for example, place iron in here, it's just going to allow this to mix up. So if I do this, you're going to see it's going to constantly start filling this up and sending the ingredients in. And well, that's not exactly what we want to see happen. You can see it's going to constantly start filling this up. It does appear though, interestingly enough, that this is stopping for some reason. I don't know. Let's actually try this again. Let's place one in and then one in here. That's going to start crafting. If I put the ingredients back in here, notice, there we go. Now it's going to start filling up. We want to prevent this. We don't actually want this to fill up. We only want 1 to 1. So a decent way that we can do that is actually use a comparator to detect the fullness of this orb. Now, by default, if I go ahead and take this out, we can use this redstone signal, and most containers can be detected like this with a comparator. And we can see right now there is an output of 6. There is 6 ingots in here. If I pull this out, it's starting to go down. Now there's only 3 ingots in here, and then 2, and that's sending a redstone signal of 2, and then 1. So it's interesting when you think about this, how you can actually handle this. So as of right now, we have a redstone signal of 0. And then whenever we have these 2 items in, if we place them both in, we're getting a redstone signal of 2. And we also just completed our craft, right? So if we have a redstone signal of 2, we should be able to extend that redstone signal out here. And so once this is out here, if I go ahead and put another set in, we can see that that signal should still be carried, but only to here. So a way that we can extend redstone signals is by using a repeater. So I can use a repeater now. And what we can do is, because of this being at 2, which is where we want it, we can use a redstone signal to send it to the hopper, and this locks the hopper. So it makes it very, very simple to visualize this. We have a redstone signal of 1, then up to 2, or in this case, it's a power of 2, then drops down to 1. But repeaters will take a signal so long as it's receiving it, and it will amplify it all the way up to 15. So in this case right here, we are locking the hoppers as soon as this hits a signal of 2. And the cool thing is it reaches 2 when we have exactly the amount we want inside here. Now, it is a little bit finicky getting this to start at first, but what we can do is do this, pull it out until we get the appropriate ingredients in. So like that, then it becomes locked, and then it stays constant. So this is just a quick and dirty way to automate the initial setup and just allow it to keep working. So it is going to keep working. You can see the redstone signals firing off. It stops the hoppers from sending any more in, and is exactly what we want to do. And if you've never seen this done with vanilla redstone, well, now you have. And in all fairness, this is probably the most complicated thing that you're probably going to have to do with the Powah mod. Is automating this setup right here. Now, once we have all of our energized steel, we can then start to work on the upgrade process. So moving up to the next tier, just getting to blazing is going to be really nice. However, I am going to need to have higher power. So that means I need these capacitors here in order to get these upgraded. This just allows me to use more power to process these up a lot quicker. It's going to save me a bit of time, honestly. But once we do get the blaze, we are going to need to use blaze rods to make the next tier. And so this is going to require a different sort of automation here, but it's much, much simpler. We just have to get the energizing orb to only keep one item in at a time. Now, this may look a little bit messy, but honestly, this is all you need. You need to detect right when it has a redstone signal of 1, which is one item being placed in. And then you just need to directly take a repeater to amplify that signal, and then make sure you use another repeater, or you could just send the redstone line directly. Really doesn't matter. Just so long as you are getting redstone onto this hopper in some way. So this also would work just like this. And then if we place in the blaze rod, you can see it only allows one in at a time which is perfectly what we need for this setup. And yeah, it is kind of cool sometimes trying to use vanilla redstone to solve these problems. Oh man, now we're almost ready. So now I have a bunch of the blazing crystal, which is beautiful. And I'm able to use this to now start working towards the wireless power that I absolutely want to get set up. Now, cool thing is we can get wireless power going that can accept up to 40,000 RF per tick into the machine and also out of this, well, Ender cell. And we can use, for example, these Ender gates that are starter. These can send out and also pull in power up to 500 FE per tick. And then next is 2000. A lot of machines won't even accept 2000 FE per tick. So like even the basic gates are more than enough for most things, and you can use all of them no matter what tier you're linked to. So I do want to make the base Ender cell, which is going to allow this to work. I want to make this right here be the at least blazing to get started. I always tend to find that to be like the best starting point. I think for these for right now, I'm just going to do them by hand. However, setting up 3 is not much harder than all the others. But yes, I am going to need to make these Ender cores, and 16 of them is going to be a great number to get started. We're going to need more though later on, because to be able within the Powah to be able to make the gates make a set of 4 from 1. So no matter what tier you're on, they're always going to require these Ender cores. So beautiful. Let's go ahead and now make the Ender cell, but this doesn't work like on its own. Not exactly. What we need to do to get this to work is we need to give it either a battery or we can give it a cell, an energy cell. So we made the Ender cell. Don't get those two confused because they are totally different. One is essentially a battery, while this one kind of allows us to use these gates. You can also, though, however, place down multiple Ender cells and they will send and receive power as well. And they will basically do the 40,000 input and output. So these are still pretty powerful in their own right. And making the little gates here are kind of like making split versions of these divided by 4. Now, in my personal opinion, I think the best way to go about this is to actually make the batteries. So if you scale up the batteries, you can get some pretty decent power going in here. And so if I was to put, which I have up to blazing in here, we can start to store this stuff. So I'm going to toss this in here, and it is going to fill the internal buffer you can see right there with the power, because I do have a blazing version of this that is powering me. But there we go. So I'm going to do that, toss this in, and before it drains all of my power, let's just go ahead and shift right click this into the power. And you can see we now have 40 million FE worth of storage inside of our cell here. And that is beautiful. And we can tap that right into here. And this should start to power up. It should, quote unquote, if we had enough power. This will be best served, I think, on the main network. The goal with this, though, is to essentially make this the primary power storage now, get rid of all of our other power storage solutions, and then use the gates for our primary power. And basically everything that needs power, like we can get rid of some of these cables and stuff, everything that needs power can now just use a gate. And this is just going to make power management so much easier. Now with all of my stuff essentially converted over and I no longer have to worry about cables, things are going to get a little bit easier to start setting up, including more power infrastructure, because as of right now, this is what we've been dealing with is really only a little bit of power. Right, this is producing about 346, I would say give or take 340 RF per tick. But what if I scaled this up significantly? I was thinking, how about taking this setup and then bringing it up to generating, well, a little over 2000 RF per tick. And I think that would be easily possible and also continuously scalable. So if I wanted or needed more power, I could just easily add to the current infrastructure. And this is going to be pretty easy to do, honestly. Now, funny thing, the quest in here goes, hey, how about you try other things other than steam power? But looking at other things other than steam power, nothing seems as sustainable or as good as the steam at the moment. We could make a solar panel. We could go to extreme reactors, but all of this stuff starts to cost in different ways. So you see this right here, this casing's not too bad, but it's the fuel that it requires that would get kind of bad. I was also looking at like the generators here, but we need crude oil, and crude oil is going to require us to go through the process of the janky Nautec like mixer, and I'm not quite sure how I would get fluids from here to there just yet. I mean, I guess an ender tank could possibly work. We'd also have to start working on other fuels. So all of those things are going to require power in its own right. So I don't feel like I'm out of that power stage just yet. So I was thinking we could go ahead and just simply expand on our power at the moment by using more of the boilers. So I want to come up with an interesting design to line them up on the wall, and we have so much room in here to play with. And also, now that we have applied energistics, the moving of lava and things like that are so much easier. Now, I know you guys really want to see this, so before I get all of this up and running, I mean, you gotta watch. Oh, it's so satisfying to watch that happen. Now, this is gonna be even more satisfying. Oh, just watching all of them get built. So yeah, this is going to produce just this alone, like close to will be over 2,000 RF per tick. Oh, and I just noticed, I think this is backwards because I think the red is like power output. I honestly don't know if the colors really matter. I just want it to match. Now, setting up all of the ways of getting the fluid in, I think I'm still going to go with the Oritech, but for the water production, to make this a lot faster, I think the best way to start generating water is definitely with applied energistics. So yes, yet again, we are going to be using the annihilation plane and a storage bus on some tanks, and this is going to make the whole setup so much easier. However, we still need an infinite water source. So I was thinking about tapping directly in down here, and this is going to make this like super easy to do. So we'll just place our AE system right here. So let's get a bucket, and I just want to place it directly on this wall. There we go. I can get out. So if I place it on this wall right here, the annihilation plane, I can go ahead and remove this, and there's an infinite source right behind it. So I can just run the cable directly up like this, and then we can put a storage bus directly on top here, and that is where our tank is going to go. So this gives me direct access to these two tanks. One I can access from the top, which is going to go right here for lava, and then this one down here I can access for the water, which is going to go into here. Now I've got to use the wrench to disconnect all of these different connections. But yeah, that's honestly not that bad to do. I just have to go in here and just essentially right click to make sure these are disconnected, and then make sure that these are also disconnected and that I've clicked into the machine. So that way these can now recognize, hey, there is a connection there. So yeah, just a little bit of manual cable labor, not too much though. Oh, and by the way, for this to work, yeah, we do have to place the crystal generator onto the bottom. And as soon as that is in, this starts filling this up with water. Tell you what, the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm like, yeah, this could be totally expanded even further. Honestly, could have another row where it's stacked up one higher, and just continue expanding this. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And so good. It's going to be so good for power. So let's go ahead and start sending in the water like this. And then all of these should start filling up with water. Oh man, and it's so fast. And then we just simply need to kick on the lava. And I just want to make sure all of these are, yes, correctly filling with water. And making sure all of my connections are right. And over here, I have my steam going into the back, and this should balance out perfectly. And then excess steam that this will generate, or excess water that this is going to generate, I just have it going into a trash can to be voided. Oh, it's looking fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and kick on the lava. As soon as that's ready, these will then kick on, and these are now generating power. They take a little bit of time to get up to their efficiency level, but hey, I mean, this right here, free energy. And you know what? What I'm going to actually do is honestly go ahead and stop these, and I'm going to move this energy generation setup over here, and I'm just going to migrate this all the way over to this side, and also take this setup and expand it one more and add on to the other side. Now for the power, I'm just going to run these cables out the front like so, all the way to the back of the room. Yeah, and just so long as we don't place any water in here accidentally, we don't have to worry about these pipes, and these have a transfer rate of 10,000. So that should be like more than enough, honestly. I'm gonna place my transmitter right on top, place that inside, and there we go. We're now tapped in. I don't think these have to, yeah, no, these just constantly send the power over. There we go. So we are definitely generating, just with this setup alone, 2,000, like 40 something RF per tick. And I'm about to generate even more by adding another set. Now, after sort of placing new machines in, I have discovered that it is best to just completely shut these off. So if you unconnect them like this before you add them, it's going to be a whole lot easier to add your machines in. Otherwise, you're going to end up with all kinds of mess. But I did manage to get this all up and running now. At least I think so. Yeah, that should be feeding into this machine, but it's not. Maybe it's because I'm out. Oh wait, no, I never turned this back on. So there we go. So now with this, all of our machines are now up and running, and yeah, I've just got to get a few more things done. Some more fluid trash cans right here. Outside of that, we're good. Now this entire room at the moment is producing about 2,768 RF per tick. Once these hit their maximum potential, as you can see, 346 each. This is plenty of power, I think, for now. Okay, you got me. I can't stop here. I actually want to make this produce just as much as what an immersive engineering diesel gen would make. And to do that, I really just need, what, a few more of these set up? Yeah, essentially just 4 more, and we're producing like 4,000 RF. And that would essentially convert this entire room into just generating power. I tell you what, the best part of this whole thing, yep, just clicking them. Oh, this feels so good, actually. Beautiful. With those connected up, it's now time for the moment of truth, and hope that my lava can keep up with this entire setup. I'm thinking that it will be just fine. But yeah, this is a massive line producing well into the 4,000 RF per tick range. Beautiful. What a power upgrade right here. Just need to flip these on, flip that on, and we are now absolutely cooking with steam. Oh man, what an upgraded steam engine room. All right, so now that I have this, all I need to do, oh wait, that's wrong. I'm gonna put that way. Hopefully I didn't mess that up over here, right? No, we're good. I just got to run the power cables. I'm working on crafting a few more of those. Thankfully, they get crafted in bundles of 6. And beautiful. We just carry this over, and that should be able to handle more than enough power there. And we just got to let the efficiency build up, just like all of these. Ooh, I don't know why that one is maxed out here, unless there's something going on with it. But this should not be maxed out with steam. What? Why? Oh, yeah. If you make small mistakes like this, they should be quite visible. Yeah, I forgot to toggle that on there and make sure it's voiding. Both of those were not running efficiently. They will, though, drain steam, and once the steam drains, then they'll all be running at this really nice, efficient rate. Oh, this is beautiful. And just to show how much configuration I have done to get all of this to work, this thing was completely filled with durability when I started. Now, just to put this in perspective, I am generating right at 4,152 RF per tick, assuming that these are all efficiently running. And that, my friends, is a significant amount of power in my opinion. So I'm thinking with all of this power upgrade, and now we have access to the wireless stuff, man, it's going to be a lot easier for us to dive into some of the other Oritech stuff. And things are looking pretty nice, even though I have a sneaking feeling that we're trying to like escape this area. I don't know. We are going to need to go deeper, but to do this, it is going to require a bit more power, a bit more energy, and a bit more infrastructure. Something that I'm going to be working on very, very soon now that we have our power, including scaling up our applied energetics system to make it so that way, if I need coal, for example, over here, I can just simply run a singular cable, like not through the water, but through space and time itself, and send it directly into this room. That's going to require power though, and so we now have checked that off of the list. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully you'll learn something new. Whether that was about the Powah mod and how to use it to send wireless power, or how to efficiently set up these steam boilers yet again in a, well, much larger form factor. If you did enjoy, be sure to click that subscribe button and give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. Also, comment down below, what power source are you using in your playthrough here? Have you stuck with steam, or did you find another solution? There's a lot of options in this pack, and well, yeah, I would love to hear what you guys are doing. With that being said, it's also now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Steez. Thank you so much, by the way, for supporting me in one of the best ways possible by choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me, like I said, in one of the best ways possible. Absolutely going above and beyond over there. Thank you so very much, gaining access to the supporter servers, world downloads, and all kinds of other fun perks on the Discord. So definitely check out the Discord if you haven't already. And also, guys, might as well follow me over on Twitch. I do live stream about 3 to 4 days a week. It really depends, sometimes even more than that. So definitely check that out. And I look forward to seeing you either in the next video or over there on Twitch. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.